Alright, this is a video on getting things done, especially your college applications. Understand that the faster you get your college application in, what you have to think about is always put yourself in, when you're communicating to people or you're trying to get something, put yourself in the shoes of the person that you're talking to or you're trying to get something from. So you want an admissions person to accept you into their college. So hopefully you watch the video on what they're looking for. So why would getting things in early be a benefit to you or beneficial to you? Well, number one is, well, why do students end up failing out? Because they get used to their high school shenanigans, okay, where they wait till the day before to get their work done, and most students can't do it. You can't cram, all the basic 101 classes in a freshman. You're taking biochem and you're taking expository writing and you're taking all these classes. A lot of them are weed out classes, and if you try to just cram it into your head the last week of school, you're not gonna. That's why a lot of students don't make it their first year or go on academic probation. Students who were B's and A students in high school, all of a sudden they can't pull off their same stuff because you're just relying on your talent or your natural intellect is not going to help you. It's not going to be the way you study in college. So by getting things in early, what you're telling, I tell my reps this all the time, how you do anything is how you do everything. Unfortunately, I'm not the most organized person, so I have papers all over the place. So, then I noticed my car was very unorganized, and my room in my house is very unorganized, and, all of a sudden, everything's unorganized. And so the point being is, how you do certain things is how you do anything. If you want to start getting more organized, I know I work on organization all the time. One of the things that my personal coach told me is just wake up every morning and for 1 month, just make your bed. Okay, just make your own bed. Every single day for a month. And so and I was like, what does that have to do with getting more organized? He's like, well, you got to create a habit. Start creating habits of getting organized a little bit at a time. So you can't change habits that you've had your entire life in literally a couple of days. And so, getting off on a tangent there, that's what college admissions people are looking for. What kind of habits do you have? If you're turning in your application early and you're getting that in faster, now there's early decision, early action. I don't even know if they have those around. Most schools have started to get rid of those programs of getting your applications in early, and the early decision. I know Princeton's got rid of it. A lot of the higher end schools have gotten rid of early decision and early action. So, but why do they want the applications in early? Well, think about the college admissions person. They know they have to have a certain amount of students come to their school every single year. So what happened is if this is the deadline, all right, when do most of the applications come in? Right before the deadline, all right? That's how my high school students act, all right? So they send it right before the deadline. So when a lot of the applications are there, they can now know, especially now that students apply to 3 or 4 or 5 different schools, college admissions people know that when they get a lot of applications, well, if we want to have, let's say we want to have a freshman class of 5,000 students, okay, it's usually a lot more, depends on the school. So I want to have a freshman class of 5,000 students, and we get 10,000 applications. Well, now I could be, I could pick one out of every 2. It's not going to be a 1 out of 2 ratio. Let's say we get 50,000 applications. All right, so we get 50,000 applications. We're going to pick 5,000 out of those. Now, if we're getting 50,000 applications, we're going to pick 5,000, and 40,000 will come a month to 3 weeks before the deadline is due. Well, that's when we can now be the most picky. But earlier, farther back, when there's not a lot of applications in, the admissions person doesn't know, the admissions department doesn't know how many actual people are going to apply, okay? So they're less. Now, again, it's not like if you're trying to apply to Harvard, well, Harvard, leave that out. If you're trying to apply to a very good school or an Ivy League school, they know they're going to get a certain amount of applications, and it's not like, oh, well, I'm trying to go to Yale, so therefore, if I get my application early, it doesn't matter if I have a 2.5 GPA or a C+ average, I'm going to get into Yale because I put in my application early. No, all right. We're talking about minutia. We're talking about between you and someone else. But understand that there's lots of people applying to colleges, and the better the college, the more applications they're going to get. So the earlier you get it in, you're now telling that school, number one, I'm proactive, I got my application early. Number two, the earlier it gets in and it's done right and all that kind of stuff, well, they don't know how many people are going to actually apply, so they're less lenient. Okay, we know we have to accept 5,000 people. Right now we've only gotten 3 months early before the deadline, we've only gotten 500 applications. Okay, so we could be less lenient. Let's start accepting some people in now, and then when you get close to the deadline, when they have lots of applications, 50,000 applications, they don't have to be as lenient anymore. Now they have to hold truer to their guidelines, because they know they're going to hit their quota. They know they're going to hit the amount of people that they want to accept. And so by getting it in early, number one, you're showing the applications for the admissions person that you're serious. But number two, you're in that area where they're not as stressed, and they're actually a little bit more lenient with evaluating the applications, because of the fact that they don't know how many people how many good applications are going to come in. And you might be able to get in maybe with a little bit lower than their standard for GPA, or if you're right on the cusp of a school, and you really want to go to that school, get your application in as early as possible. So get things done as soon as possible. By the way, not just with college applications, with your grades, with your classes, with your scholarship applications, get everything done. Don't wait till the last minute. Get it out of the way first. A great book called Eat That Frog. It's about procrastination, and not going to talk more about it. Look up the book. So get it done.